Very nice. What is your top 4 and top 6 prediction, Lee? Like, what is your top 4 and top 6 predictions with both them and Liverpool kind of struggling at the moment?
It's hard, isn't it? Because if you look at the table, Terry, right, which I'm about to do right this second, you look at this Premier League table, we're top, but we're only 8 points ahead of Man United. We've still got to play Chelsea, who we're 7 points ahead of at the Bridge. If we lose that, it's 4 points. All of a sudden, you can go 2 losses back to back, bang, you're down to 7th or 6th. So from 1st to 6th, it's on paper 8 points is quite a lot, but really it's not, is it? City will win it. As it stands right now, I do think we'll get top 4, but like I say, it depends. Chelsea, Tottenham. But then I could see a top 4 without Arsenal. I could see a top 4 without Arsenal and Man United. I could see a top 4 without Chelsea and Tottenham.
Let me slow you down. You can see a top 4 without Arsenal. How? How do you think that could happen?
Squad depth. We haven't got more than 13 or 14 players really that are of the quality. If you look at every other Big 6 team, you look at Tottenham on their bench, they can have Richarlison. They could have Kulusevski if Richarlison plays. I know he's out injured at the minute. They could have Basuma on the bench. Now, when you look at our bench, it's championship level. We've got Cedric, Rob Holding, Nketiah, Marquinhos, Reece Nelson. Who else is on there? Matt Turner. Like, it's not, and then what else? Fabio Vieira. And that's it. Like, if you look at Man United's bench, your bench, is Donny van der Beek still alive, by the way? Like, what's happened to this guy? Is he alive? Is he injured? What's wrong with him? Because he gets into a lot of Premier League teams, but I've not seen him barely play for you lot. But your bench could be Martial. Yeah, it could be Ronaldo. It could be Donny van der Beek. Yeah, Harry Maguire. Yeah, let's all laugh, cool, whatever. But you have Lindelof on the bench. Masiela is his name? Masiela? The left back? Malacia, sorry. I'm thinking of the guy at Bayern. But your bench is a lot stronger than our bench. A lot stronger. You've got a lot of players there that could be forcing their way into a first team. Rashford could sit on the bench 1 week. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like you've got players that can do that. What have we got? We've got Eddie Nketiah who comes off the bench and runs around like a headless chicken and does nothing. Then you look at Chelsea. Chelsea's bench is stronger than ours. You look at Tottenham's bench. I've already said that. Man City are in a different league. Liverpool, let's not write them out of top 4 yet. And they're not having the greatest of times. But in lockdown, Terry, they had 6 straight losses at Anfield for the first time ever, and they still made top 4. They had 27 different centre-back partners or something that season and still got top 4. And this season, I think we've seen enough already to know that it's a bit of a weird season, isn't it? Nottingham Forest beating Liverpool, Newcastle going to Tottenham and getting a result, Liverpool beating Man City and then losing to Nottingham Forest. There's going to be so many twists and turns, and 2 losses, we could potentially be down to 4th or 5th or 6th. And that's how quick it could change. So it's hard to predict it, but I'm going to stick with what I said at the start of the season. I think we'll finish 5th. And that was my prediction at the start. It's been a fantastic start, and it has. But the way I've seen Man United play the last 2 games, the way I've seen City doing what they're doing, Tottenham slipping up against Newcastle, which, by the way, I've seen their fans going into absolute delirium about Conte. That's the only game out of the 3 that they were not supposed to lose. They were supposed to lose to Arsenal because they do every year. They were supposed to lose to Man United. So they've lost 1 game that they shouldn't have lost, and their fans are in meltdown. It's hilarious. Yeah, but I think it's going to be a long season, Terry, and Arsenal need to go and sign players in January. And I've said this all the way through the season. We ain't got a big enough squad. And people sit there and say, yeah, but just enjoy it. We're top of the league. Yeah, we're top of the league. Yeah, I don't give a shit if we're top of the league in the 25th of October, Terry. I want to be there on the 25th of May. Yeah, and I don't think we've got a squad to do that. And we're going to have a capitulation at some point where we fall apart or get a couple of injured players, and we just like that, Man United will be above us or Spurs will go above us.
So let me ask you a question on that. So if you would have won on Sunday,
I'd still have the same opinion.
No, I want to give you a bit of historical fact.
Mm.
No team has ever had 30 points or more after 11 games and not won the top flight division in England ever.
Yep.
So to be like at a point away from that marker where no team has had that many points, I think that in Premier League history, your start to this season is like the 6th best ever.
Yeah.
You still see you having this would make it, if you finish 5th now, this would be the biggest collapse in the history of the Premier League. And you still think that's going to
In
happen?
terms of start to season, then yeah, you could run that narrative. But Terry, at the end of the day, the chat's lighting up with he's so pessimistic, he's so negative, he's so mate. I've gone through 19 seasons of seeing nearly Arsenal good, 2 players short, 3 players short. 2008, Eduardo broke his leg. We folded because we never replaced him, and we had the chance. Yeah, 2013, I think we folded after 25, 26 games, something like that. 2016, we signed Petr Cech. If we had signed a striker that season, we win the league. You know, we're always 2 or 3 players short, Terry, right? And like I said, if you look at our bench, that's worrying, man. Sambi Lokonga, yeah, by the way, is not this young up-and-coming kid. He's 23 years old. And that guy ain't a good enough replacement for Thomas Partey if he gets injured. And Mohamed El Neni's out injured until next year anyway, I think. We've had Zinchenko, apparently only going to miss 2 games that were international games for his country. And then he was back. Well, that was 6-7 games ago, Terry. Where is he? Oh, he's got a calf sprain.
Bro, so I understand that. And I'm not trying
and then he plays a left back. No, let me finish, Tel, right? He then plays a left back over an actual left back who's the most decorated player at our football club here in TNE. And he plays Tomiyasu there. That experiment's failed. It worked against Salah once. Yeah, but I've seen Salah get pocketed by most left backs in the league this season. So let's not he got pocketed by the Forest left back the other day. Right? So come on, right? That experiment's failed. We've played very well. We've been the best team to watch this season. We've got the results to back it. And if somebody said to me on the first day of the season, after 11 games, you would have only lost to Man United and you would have only drawn with Southampton, I would have laughed. I think everyone would have. Yeah, no Arsenal fan predicted that. But now the narrative is, yeah, well, the target's top 4. You've got Ian Wright coming out saying, yeah, the top 4. Well, we're top of the league. Now let's go and strengthen. Let's go and do it. Let's go and have a go. Yeah, because I'll tell you something, Terry, right? God forbid Jesus gets injured. God forbid Thomas Partey gets injured. We have got nobody of adequate backup for them 2 players. And we see our midfield getting overrun against Leeds. We see our midfield getting overrun against Southampton the other day. That was with these players. Now let's see if we're without them. We've got no track record of Thomas Partey staying fit for a season at Arsenal. So it's not being negative. It's not being toxic. It's only 11 games. We're top now, but we're only 8 points ahead of 5th or 6th or whatever it is. A couple of losses and it spins, and all of a sudden we're 5th.
I get that logic, I suppose I'm not trying to paint a picture of it. Well, I am trying to paint a picture because I'm looking at it from the point of view that no team has ever had this good a start and not made the top 4. It's never happened. So therefore, so it's not even trying to set Arsenal up for failure. If you have one of the greatest starts in Premier League history and then don't even finish in the top 4, that's calamitous. And for me, I just don't see this Arsenal team, even with injuries, becoming so inconsistent that it has the greatest fall off in the history of the Premier League, and maybe even one of the biggest fall offs in the history of.
But so it's only the greatest fall off based on 11 games. Yeah, so yes, it's been the greatest start in terms, or the 6th best start,
but that's how it works, though. No one's ever built a foundation like this, Lee, and fallen away. And even though
who were the 5 teams you said that was the 6th best start to a season or something? You said, yeah.
Again. So
who were the 5 teams and what years?
So
that were above that.
Okay, so there's the 2
because then you can dissect their squads and look at their squads, Terry.
That isn't the relevant point I'm making. I'm not suggesting win the league from that point. I'm saying they have.
No, I'm not saying that.
But those teams did. But my point is, no team has ever had this many. So every team that's ever had 29 points or more at this stage of the season in Premier League history has always made the top 4. In fact, that stat was relevant 3 games ago. Whatever your points total was, no team had ever had that many points and fallen out. So the point being is your start is in the top 6 starts of all Premier League teams ever. No team has ever dropped out of the top 4. Historically speaking, It's never happened, and I don't believe this Arsenal team would become inconsistent enough with a handful of injuries to fall out of the top 4 now. So for me, I put Arsenal, based on history, based on the quality of your team.
If we're going based on history, Terry, we haven't made the top 4 for 6 seasons. We've been in a position to make the top 4 with 3 games to go and completely folded, with 3 games to go after playing good football at times last season in stages, to get ourselves into a position where we go and beat Chelsea 4-2. Yeah, we beat, who else did we beat in that run? We beat Chelsea and we beat someone else. Who else did we beat? We beat another decent team. I can't remember. But we got ourselves into a position where we had 4 points ahead of Tottenham with 3 games to go and folded. So if you're going based on history, well, most of these players are still here, Terry. The captain's still here. Yeah, the left back, the centre back, apart from one, is still here. It's still the same team. If William Saliba, United, thank you, chat. If William Saliba gets injured, we're going back to Ben White at centre back, who's been brilliant at right back, by the way. I was shocked he got taken off the other day. Put him back at centre back, and we're back to the partnership that flopped last season. So we're one Saliba injury away from the same back 4 that started last season that folded towards the end of it. So based on history, well, it's still the same midfield as last season. It's still the same centre back pairing if Saliba gets injured. So there's one player that's changed that back line, right? If he gets injured, we're back to the same.
So let me ask you, and I get that. So let me ask you this question.
It's on a knife edge, mate. Trust me.
Let me ask you a question. If Saliba doesn't get injured, if Saka doesn't, if Saliba doesn't get injured, if Saka doesn't get injured, and if Gabriel Jesus don't get injured for more than a handful of games, with this start, and there is a comment here from Ali Osman that says Terry believes too much in numbers. Every stat starts from nowhere and eventually has to end somewhere. You are right in that. But I'm basing it on the fact of how well you're playing, the fact that there's no guarantees that all your best players are going to miss huge chunks of the season.
I'm basing it on previous, Terry. Thomas Partey can't stay fit all season.
Okay, but I've just made you. So Thomas Partey does get an injury. Let's just say he does. Let's go back to my question, though. But Saliba, Jesus, and Saka stay fit all year. Based on the foundation that you've started, which is a stat, but it's a very relevant stat. You built a brilliant foundation. Then do you believe you'll make top 4?
Yeah. But I want more than top 4, Terry, which is why I'm sitting here saying, if we go out in January, we need a backup to Thomas Partey. We need a better backup for Jesus. Jesus is not going to bag 20 goals a season. I told everyone this. He'll get about 15. Yeah, so far after 11 games, he's got 5. Yeah, and his performances have gone from up here to down here real quick, by the way, because he's trying so much and to be everywhere that when he gets in front of goal, his finishing is just falling off the cliff, right? That's hilarious. But Jesus is a very, 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 very good footballer, and I liked him at Man City, and I think he's fantastic to watch, right? But he ain't going to bag me 20 goals a season. Never has. He's going to finish on the same total, roughly there or thereabouts, that Lacazette did. Because he does so much more around the box than in the box, yeah? So I get it. He's going to score less. But then at that point, you then have to have wingers and midfielders that are going to get you goals. Martin Odegaard ain't going to bag 15 goals, mate. He's going to be lucky if he gets 10.
I understand that.
So we need another striker, Terry. Yeah, are we going to go out there and buy a striker in January? No.
And I get that. Let's get